Rob, your immediate reaction to this big news for the Zags is?
Do you think Mark Few is awake yet? It's 7:36 in Spokane right now. Do you think he's awake yet? Or do you think he's going to be one of these guys that is going to wake up and get all these messages on his phone and be like, all right, we got a commitment from 2 guys. I'm going back to bed now. I don't need to do anything else today.
Did he go to bed? Did he go to bed? I don't know with this news. If he found out about it late last night and locked these 2 guys in, I don't know if I would have gone to sleep because, Rob, what does this make Gonzaga for next year?
It makes them very, very good. The 2 most important positions when it comes to Mark Few and the offense that he runs and the style of play that he wants to play is you need a great 5-man and you need a great point guard that can operate in ball screens. If you look at what they've done over the course of the last couple of years, that's really what they base everything on. They love to get into those. They love to play up and down in transition. 2, they get into ball screens. They run a lot of that ball screen continuity offense, and you got to have a guy that can operate those ball screens. They didn't really last year, and this year they will. Ryan Nembhard is a very, very good point guard, an experienced point guard, and a guy that has seen his brother transfer into the program and end up finding a way to get to the NBA. He had a really good season this year. It was the Indiana Pacers, I believe. So
that's right.
That makes a ton of sense. The other thing they love to do is to be able to run these sets where they can have a big guy that just buries somebody in the post. We haven't really seen it the last couple of years with Drew Timme, but just think about like Shemet Karnowski. Think about Zach Collins. Think about that kind of a player. And Graham Ike, he didn't play last season because of injury. This dude averaged legitimately 19.5 points, 9.5 boards on a very good Wyoming team. He is a great post-up presence at the 5. This is what Gonzaga needed. They needed those 2 guys. Those are 2 of the 5 best transfers that were in the portal this offseason. Mark Few went out and got them both. And we could talk about the style of play and all that here in a second, Fanta. The big thing for me is the question that a lot of people had about Gonzaga and about this program moving forward without Tommy Lloyd was, what are they going to be on the recruiting trail? What are they going to be able to do without the guy that was the best person on the staff going out and getting players, going out and tapping into those overseas markets, being able to work in the transfer portal, right? And that was we talked about this. We talked about it in Vegas and we talked about it in Houston. Should we be concerned about Gonzaga falling off now that Drew Timme's not there? Is the pipeline of talent coming into the program still going to be running? And I think Mark Few, what he told us this morning is that, yes, they're going to be just fine because they can still go out there and get players like Ryan Nembhard and Graham Ike.
This is a statement maker. To do it back-to-back, right around within the same hour, is huge. It steals all the headlines. Had I asked everybody in the college basketball media space yesterday what they thought Gonzaga would be next season without these 2 players, without knowing about these 2 players, you would have said, well, they're going to make some portal moves. But with the roster they had constructed 24 hours ago, if you take a look at that thing, which we will do, you were talking about a team that would be top 25, maybe based off of name, if not worse, 30, 35, outside the top 25. The only reason why you'd be putting them in the top 20, top 25 is because their name is Gonzaga. They would have definitely, Rob, they would have definitely not been with the team they had constructed yesterday. They would not have been the WCC preseason favorite. That would have been St. Mary's.
Let me tell you guys about our sponsor for today's episode, Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 a few weeks back. When we get in the middle of college hoop season, it can be hard for me to eat and drink as healthy as I probably should be, especially in late February and March when the schedule gets really busy. But I found that I've felt better as I've made AG1 a part of my daily routine. I take AG1 in the afternoons after the coffee is worn off and once the itis post-lunch is kind of set in. And what I found, my energy levels are up. It's improved my digestion. And as a result, I'm not only more efficient and productive in the most important time of the year for me and for the field of 68, but I'm working out more consistently. I just feel better. AG1 is so much more than just a greens powder. It's comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally could not be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of the AG1 formula with water, and I drink it every single afternoon. Done. Just like that. I also like that it only costs $3 a day. The price is right. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is the answer. They are giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Free! Just go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's athleticgreens.com/field68. The link is in the description below. Check it out. Support the Field of 68 and feel better about yourself.
What does this mean? It immediately puts Gonzaga in the top 15, in my opinion, heading into next year. And it means that they are still on top in the WCC heading into the season until otherwise seen.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is it takes a little bit of pressure off of Nolan Hickman, right?
Yes.
He's able to kind of play off the ball a little bit more, be more of a secondary creator, be a guy that can kind of stand out there and knock down some shots, attack a close that gets created for him. And you're still going to put him into actions. Like if you remember what they did in the 2021 season when they had Jalen Suggs and Andrew Nembhard in the backcourt together, right? They were able to have different guys initiating offense. And if you look at the best teams over the course of the last 15 years, we said this over and over again. You need multiple playmakers in the backcourt. You need multiple guys that can go out and make something happen. UConn last year, Andre Jackson, creator, Tristan Newton, guy that can make a play off the bounce. So you need those two different weapons in your backcourt. And I think that now with Ryan Nembhard carrying the load and Nolan Hickman playing in more of a complementary role, which is frankly probably what he's better suited to right now, I think that that's a really good thing for him. Then Malachi Smith is still a very, very good piece in a backcourt, piece on a perimeter. I don't know if he's someone you want to build an offense around, but he's just a very good veteran, like the quintessential fifth-year Gonzaga guard, right? He's just going to go out there and do good things. If you looked at some of the on-off splits last year that they had, it was very clear that Malachi Smith, they were at their best when Malachi Smith was on the floor. Throwing Anton Watson, who's good at what he does, throwing the addition of Steele Venters, who was the Big Sky Player of the Year, 6'7" wing that can shoot it, and a couple of freshmen coming in that I do think will be good moving forward. I don't know how much big of an impact Dusty Stromer and Alex Tui are going to have right away, but those are program guys that now you can kind of trust them to play. We talked about this on the DTF pod, Fanta. You can trust them to play 14 minutes, 13 minutes a game and know that they're going to be ready to come into a starring role in their sophomore or junior year. So now, not only are you getting old, but you've built a program now moving forward where you're going to be able to stay old. And that more than anything, that matters.
100%. And what do we always say with transfers? Regardless of the NIL pool and all the chaos happening in the portal, the first question that we end up asking is, who were you coached by? Mm-hmm. That's what these coaches want to know. And as much as it's tough for Creighton, and Creighton will be fine. They're already loading up for next year. As much as it's tough for them to say goodbye to Ryan Nembhard, who was Ryan Nembhard coached by? He was coached by Greg McDermott. And now he goes to Mark Few. If you're Mark Few, you should be in jubilation, which I'm sure he is. Because here's the thing about Nembhard, Rob. I actually think that at Gonzaga, you're going to see him more of a centerpiece, more of the centerpiece. Let's face it, he was one of those guys at Creighton. But because you're playing alongside Trey Alexander, Trey's going to go get his, and rightfully so. He's going to take shots off the dribble. You know, being a UConn fan, how many tough shots Trey Alexander hit in Omaha when UConn went out there. My point, this for Nembhard, it's not about one program being better than the other, but this opportunity for him is he's going to be the centerpiece in that backcourt. Undisputed. He's their guy.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that that they were lacking last year, right? They didn't have that last year. They didn't have that guy that you could trust, and now they do. I'm going to keep going back to it, and I hope that people listening aren't kind of annoyed by me saying this, but it's so important to have a great point guard in this Gonzaga system. Like, you always want a great point guard, but it's so important in this Gonzaga system because of how much they run, how many ball screens they run, how much they try to get up and down the floor. Like, you need a guy that can be a decision maker. And I think that Ryan Nembhard is that guy. And again, it doesn't hurt that you have that familial connection, right? Ryan saw his brother go there. Now, granted, he sat out a year, right? And Ryan's not going to have the benefit of sitting out the year and being able to come in season. So you might see a little bit of some lumps, I guess maybe is the right way to say it, early on, a little bit of a learning curve, more than maybe you did with Andrew or with Nigel Williams-Goss before him. But I think that Mark Few has a proven track record with guys like this. So to me, the big thing now is, what do you see as this team's ceiling heading into next year? I think they're still going to go out and try to add another shooter or two from the portal. Like
they need one.
I just think you need a couple more pieces. Like I think you're more or less settled, especially if, I don't know if Julian Strother is going to come back, but if he does come back, then you don't really have to worry about that at this point. But I do think that they have enough pieces to be like a top 15 team. I would not be surprised to see them try to add a little bit more depth. But what is their ceiling? Because the one thing that I would say is, you have a lot of good college players. Where's the pros?